Once again, the Browns, under Kevin Stefanski in 2025, have shown impressive ways to lose games.
They continue to. And now, so yesterday was odd because it felt like everyone just wanted to yell about the special teams, and I want to yell about special teams, but I don't want to do 5 hours about yelling about special teams.
You sure?
Like, yeah, that doesn't sound like a good time to me. When I got into this business, I didn't get into this to yell about special teams for 5 hours. Bubba Ventrone sucks. Tell me what else is new. You know, what else do I need to see from this man to tell me that the special teams isn't going to be good, hasn't been good, and won't continue to be good?
Yeah, I mean, I actually don't think Bubba is an atrocious coach. Like, we've had some coaches where it's like, who is the dipstick offensive line coach?
Andy Dickerson.
Andy Dickerson. The dude lasted a month on the job.
He looked like Bob Ross.
And got blown out of Cleveland.
Couldn't trust anyone with that hairstyle.
Now, there is a catch-22 here of, do they have enough special teams enforcers, aces, whatever you want to call it, or is Bubba just bad at his job? You can have that conversation. My thing is, you either coach it or you allow it. That's like the number one cliche I've heard players say to me. So at some point, it's not about Bubba Ventrone. At some point, it's not about an offensive line coach or a quarterback's coach. No, at some point, if the team keeps making the same mistakes, it's two things. One, you're not very talented, but the more damning is you're not very well coached. And that's like, I can level Andrew Berry for what he has done the last 6 years, and it has not been good enough. He's been worse at his job than Kevin Stefanski has been at his job. But specific to yesterday, well, those special teams gaffes, that's the third game this season lost single-handedly by special teams gaffes. That is no longer on Bubba Ventrone. It's the guy who says, hey, we got we got accountability out the yin-yang, and then the team continues to go make the same mistakes.
I mean, the 49ers covered 16, 32, and 18 yards for their 3 touchdowns. What are you going to do in that situation? I mean, it's not as if Brock Purdy looked good in this game. It's that you gave him great field position, and then you screwed the pooch. And there are some plays I'd like to break down. There really are. Like Corley, I think that's a coaching mistake. I think not having the understanding and awareness to let the ball just go out of bounds in that moment, I don't know what else to call that but a lack of coaching there. Other things, though, like Gage Larvidan, it's on the coaches, not because Gage Larvidan missed the ball. It's because, why is Gage Larvidan the one that's the returning player on that kick anyway? Mm-hmm. The guy, he was in straight clothes 3 weeks ago, and he's the guy that's relied upon for this?
So, all right, this again, I'm not letting Bubba Ventrone off the hook, but at some point, the head coach takes victory laps within the media by saying, we don't fire people within the season because we're above that. Well, then you lose 3 games on special teams almost the identical same way. You have massive you have massive, gigantic plays that either you're giving up or that you yourself are giving away. I'll be honest with you, the number one play that pissed me off to no end, the number one reason why it's getting harder and harder to defend Kevin Stefanski, and I say that as a guy who has bashed Kevin Stefanski the last 2 years, that 4th and 1 call, at your own 30. That's a fireable play. It's not going to get him fired, not at least today, but going for it on 4th and 1 in a game that is still relatively close with a quarterback who in the first half played as well as any quarterback has played this year for you. To basically take the game out of the player's hands, I thought it was the quintessential moment of galaxy braining. I don't know what the hell you were thinking. You've been playing a field position game all game long, and then you get down by what is manageable late in the game or midway through the game, and you go ahead and you go for it on 4th and 1 on a play that, I'm sorry, logic tells you they didn't practice it because nobody looked like they knew what they were doing. That, to me, that's the play where I kind of turned on Kevin in the game, and I was like, all right, Jack, what in the blue hell are you doing?
So it was the play call that I get the maddest about. It's not necessarily going for it on 4th and 1 in that situation, because we see teams all across the NFL, they'll go for it in that situation, and we've seen the Browns go for it in that situation previously. It's the idea that you're doing a direct snap to Harold Fannin. Mm-hmm. Like don't get cute in that moment. The only way you see this mess up, it's such a simple thing. You just have to get a yard. It's either a Shedeur Sanders, you take the ball and you do it yourself, and basically you do a glorified tush push, or you hand the ball off to Judkins and you do it really, really quickly and you go for it. But you don't do a direct snap to Fannin. That's not the time to get cute there.
Yeah, I'll be honest with you. I think it's the whole thing. It would have been much more defendable if they had just done the Wildcat there. But the point is, the idea that the special teams had already set the defense up for failure by perpetually putting San Francisco in an ideal spot. And in fairness, an elite defense gets at least a stop there on one of the many times that San Francisco got the ball in the best possible scenario, and you didn't. So that needs to be said as well.
So what's funny, though, is this is the part where Stefanski thinks that he's actually an aggressive head coach. I think he gets confused as to what aggressive is. I think when he is throwing 5 yards, passes, he thinks that's a different version. But he's consistently been, in the time that he's been here, he will go for this play. We've seen him do it time and time again. They've gone for 11 4th-and-1 plays this year. Like, he lives for that. That's 7th most in the NFL. This is what he does. It's just don't get cute in that moment.
Well, I think in cute is at the 30-yard line. If it's at the 50-yard line, I'm much more amiable to it. If it's 10 yards down the field, for the better, I totally am fine with it. It is at your own 30 when your defense is fighting for its life out there and has been set up to fail all day long. And at some point, you have to do the players. And by the way, there were moments where I'm like, oh, they're aggressive. They're trying to win this game, right? I remember I was loading up to get so pissed at the end of the first half because I'm like, they're going to go for 3. They're playing for 3, and then they made the big play to Fannin, which was a non-typical play. Loved it. And then you had the 4th-and-1. That's and then at other
went for
points,
the 2-point conversion.
At the other points, you're playing field. It's like no. You either are playing the field position game all game long outside of a play at the end of the first half, or you're going to let that game slip away on top of just endless gaffes on special teams. And it's not just on special teams, but predominantly on special teams.
Yeah, no, I think this is, again, it's an odd quirk of Stefanski, is that we've seen him go for this 4th-and-1 play. We've seen him do it even on the 30 like that. It's something that he feels very strongly, and we just haven't seen him blow up in his face this way. But we've never really seen him try to get like a trick play off of it. And that, I don't even know what he thought Fannin was going to do. Was that supposed to be just a direct snap and then Fannin jump over and make his own tush-push play? Is that what he was going for?
I would imagine it was just he was going to go for some low angle, get the snap, and just kind of wedge his way in there.
We've never seen Fannin do that. Is the problem with that? Like, why is that? The problem is with the actual play call itself. To me, is I don't know why that's the call there, and it absolutely it was game blouses when that happened.
I think my frustration is and Browns fans, you don't want to hear this today. I know you don't want. There's a lot of good in that game. I thought Shedeur in the first half had the best half of, I think, any quarterback that I can think of. Like, in terms of him doing what Kevin wanted to do while also making a big play or two. Like, that's the way that should look with the way Kevin wants it done. So that was a lot of good. Carson Schlesinger, holy crap, that guy's a hell of a football player.
Even within, like, Shedeur, they didn't make any adjustments off of that. Like, did you hear any of Judkins in the postgame? Like, Judkins, it was outstanding. He's like, so in the first half, they just went with their 4-man front. They didn't do any blitzes, weren't aggressive at all in any sort of way, and so that's why I had a lot of carries. And then in the second half, where they had all 40 rushing yards the entire half, Judkins is like, they put 8 and 9 guys in the box. They completely changed, and they kept going back to me.
Well,
it's like, okay, shouldn't you have to alter your approach? You see, Saleh almost set him up in order to have that poor second half the way that they did.
Not just that. In the first half, you weren't just running on 1st and 2nd down. You were passing on 1st down and then running on 2nd down. You were mixing it up, and then it felt like in the second half they said, all right, we're going back to running on 1st and 2nd down.
Here's the problem, is that the drive right before the half that we discussed, still in the first half, that was 9 straight running plays before Shedeur threw the ball to Harold Fannin. 9 straight, Nick. 9 straight running plays.
Is that not good?
That's not balanced football, I'll tell you that much. It was like right at the spot where the broadcast crew was like, hey, they've been on a really balanced game between the run and the pass. They just decided to completely eject from the pass button.
216-474-0092. That game was a much more competitive game that was blown wide open by a couple of coaching gaffes in the second half. And that's the stuff. That's like the 3rd or 4th time that I can say that, where in a game where I'll let players make mistakes, I'll let Corley make mistakes, I'll let Larvadane make mistakes. I don't want my own coaching staff to crack open a game and just give it to the other team.
But this is the Stefanski special. It's like on like a lunch menu, the Stefanski special. I'll order that one. It's the one where you continually show us different ways to not only just fail and put teams in awful situations. I don't know how he does it. Seriously, every game it feels like we're in, he finds some new way to just vomit all over his shoes. It's incredible.
I feel good about those two calls and those two concepts on 4th and short. I have to trust our guys based on the matchup, based on who we have, based on who they have, those type of things.
Browns head coach Kevin Stefanski talking about the aggressiveness on 4th and 1 that, of course, did not go the Browns' way. But, it did go San Francisco's way, the next 30 yards and, I believe, 7 points their way. It's interesting. I take umbrage with the fact that you went for it on 4th and 1 at the 30, and you take umbrage with the play call.
Yeah.
And Kevin basically says there it's on the players to execute.
Right? It's really passing the buck, is it not?
Yeah.
I mean, come on. It's we've always talked about accountability. It seems like it's the theme of this season. But in that instance right there, how are you passing the blame right there? That's insane to me.
Yeah, it bugged me a lot in listening. The funny thing is, the first time I heard it, I just didn't register it. As we were listening to there, it was like, oh, that's a window into Kevin Stefanski's failure as a leader.
No, but you know what this is, though? This is process versus outcome. Mm-hmm. Right? When you have your ideology be process versus outcome, we don't care about the results of what happened. We only care about whether or not you made the right call and everything else is out of your hands. You get answers like that. That's a problem with that line of thinking.
No, totally fair. But the thing that he, and every time Kevin chooses to answer a question like this, where he actually is telling you something, he's telling you, players have to execute. But there's always a kernel that is left unidentified and untouched. And in this case, it's why'd you have to do it at your own 30 at that point in the ball game? Because I believe, by the way, he is correct. Like, process-wise, I believe that occasionally, even in a game that's ground control, you have to be aggressive. You were selectively aggressive at the end of the first half with a fan in play, and it worked out perfectly. You were 20 yards short of where that play would be acceptable. And what's interesting is, I don't mind losing in and of itself if it's going towards something greater. Right? And I watched Carson Schwarzenegger play yesterday. He was fantastic. Mm-hmm. Harold Fannin Jr., the Yak King, who could have seen that coming. There were some great plays on defense just single-handedly that guys made. Miles got another sack. Mason Graham continuing to do things up the middle and continuing to show that if you actually watch football, you see a hell of a football player happening there. Right? There was a lot of good. The first half was Shador. There was a lot of good that can be gone, can be taken from what you did.
Judkins had some nice runs.
Honestly, guys, I thought Tommy Reese in the first half was in his bag. I thought mixing up the run and pass, I thought some of the different kind of, not trick plays, but some of the different plays that they were trying to do at different times.
Even their end around worked. Which some weeks it does, some weeks it doesn't.
I want to say it worked twice in that game. So there were some things that I really liked in this game. It's not that they lost, it's how they lost. And I cannot fathom why Kevin Stefanski is comfortable turning a competitive loss into a non-competitive blowout. Because that's what happened between the coaching staff with the special teams issues. And again, at some point, if Bubba Ventrone, it doesn't matter if it's a really good scheme, the scheme looks great. It doesn't matter if the players are breaking down. Because at some point, you need those players to make those plays. That should be happening across 12 damn games.
And it worked on both sides of special teams, too. It worked on when they were receiving the ball and when they were kicking the ball off. And you watched the 49ers have just great field. You just can't give them that field position and expect to win a game. It's very unfair to the defense, first off, but it's just unfair in general.
What ended up bugging me about this game so much is the offense played well enough to win. Don't take off the 8 points. Don't think about that. Think about how Shador and the running game played. And honestly, there were some decent moments blocking, considering you were juggling offensive linemen all across the line. The offense played well enough to win yesterday. The defense played well enough to win the damn game.
Their touchdowns were 16, 32, and 18 yards. Yeah. I don't know that Brock Purdy had it in him to go 80 yards in this game at all. Yes. And I think the understanding of that would have been, it would have just been obviously way more beneficial for Stefanski to grasp that. There's a reason why I think a lot of Shador fans are hanging on to the idea that he looked better than Brock Purdy for a lot of stretches of that game. And it's because the reality is that one offense was actually going down the field, and the other one was only able to do so when given perfect field position. Like, it was so easy. It was set up right there for him. They just had to understand the moment.
Yeah, and in the second half, I thought the offense was really set up to fail by whether it was Tommy Reese or Kevin Stefanski, because they went from varying when do you run, when do you pass, not going too far on, I don't say trick plays, but on stuff like screens and stuff like that, to going back to vanilla and basic.
It was very vanilla.
I don't know what that change was.
I've never watched a Shedeur game where he does that, by the way. And I don't know that that's Shedeur doing that, by the way. I think that's him. I think he took a deep shot in that very first drive, and it went over Judy's head, and I think the rest of the game, and he admitted to it as much in the postgame, that he's got to keep taking shots, and he did, fortunately, with the fan in play. But I think then in the second half, I think it was a close game, and I think he really wanted the win, and I think he was just being a good company man and being like, all right, I'm gonna throw the ball 5 yards at most. I'm gonna turn into basically what Dylan Gabriel turns into, and I just think that's a horrible decision by Shedeur. Like, do what got you there, buddy.
Yeah, you do. This goes back to like the post game comments in defending Stefanski. They want him to prove you can toe the company line. It doesn't make it right. It certainly didn't help them play yesterday. But like in the first half, I thought Saleh said, hey, we're going to give you all the little underneath stuff. We're going to give you the opportunities to do to get to third and manageable. We're just not going to let you have the big play. And then in the second half, as you pointed out in the first segment, he flipped it. It was, we're going to take away the short stuff. We're going to take away the run game. And what kills me is they continue to neuter Shedeur. They continue to be like, well, all right, make sure you hit that 5-yard out route. And it's like, no, they're finally giving you plays down the field. Go back to, because again, you only need one or two of those big plays from Shedeur to put the 49ers defense back on their heels.
Yeah, no, exactly. And I thought the broadcast did a really good job, and this is maybe where I think the Browns failed in this game. I thought they did a really good job of highlighting just how it felt like both teams were cognizant that the weather was going to be very different in the second half than it was the first half. Not only were they expecting rain, but they were also expecting snow, and then you knew you were already playing with 40-mile-per-hour winds. And so, it was just Saleh. I want to tip the cap to him. He felt like he had the absolute right idea. It's as if he read the minds of the Browns and knew that they just go right into their shell and be scared about what that second half was going to be, and they went right into it. It was just, I don't know how in that moment you don't swerve off of what's obviously happening now.
When the offense and defense both play well enough to win, and you lose by multiple scores, and it's on the head coach, it's on the special teams coordinator, it's on the special teams unit. That's just not how I'm comfortable losing.
No,
I'm comfortable losing on quarterbacks throwing a turnover. I'm comfortable on defensive gaps, things that can be coached up. When it like special teams to me are like, it's like the built-in. It's like trust in a relationship.
I do like how everyone's giving their special teams truisms right now, by the way. Not you, obviously, just like everyone all today is like, what do we want out of special teams?
Don't screw it up.
It's a fun day to kind of feel out where people are with that. What was Coach Riz was talking about it, and he's like, special teams, you basically seen, not heard is the idea there.
No, it's like the offensive line.
Yeah.
The only time, the way you know special teams is good is when we never have to talk about special teams.
Basically, that's why I'm bothered that I know it's going to be a big talking point all throughout the week, and we're going to try to find an answer to it. But this is like the third game now, Nick, where we've left, and on Mondays we're just complaining about the special teams and talking about the special teams. And I would love it. I would enter the conversation if I felt like anything was going to change. The problem I have with the special teams is that we watch this week in, week out. They don't make any adjustments.
Yeah.
They don't make any changes. Like, that's the most bothersome thing. I can only give you so much of this airtime on special teams when it's obvious that they don't seem like they know how to fix it, and they don't have the guys or they don't have the wherewithal to fix it.
And listen, Bubba's going to say, well, but we've done this differently schematically, and we've done this differently. That's not the point. The simple mistakes that you were making 8 weeks ago that were costing you games, you're still making. That's the problem. And again, I do think it's much more complex than it's just on Bubba. But at some point, if the mistakes are happening and the roster isn't changing around those guys, like if the roster's not changing around those guys and the coach continues to play the guys that are making these mistakes, nothing will get better.
Well, remember, for 1 week, they put a lot of the starters on special teams. They put a lot of them back out, like Schlesinger. A lot of those guys are actually like back out there playing special teams. And then you fast forward, and I got to go back and look at it, but I didn't see nearly as many starters out there on special teams. And it felt like that was their 1 week quick fix, and it worked. It actually did work. And now they just went back to what they've been doing the entire year.
Devin Bush was the farthest man down the field on the punt return that almost went back for a touchdown. He was on the field on that one, because he was the one that slipped up, and it looked like there was a block in the back, but we don't call that against the Browns. Not that I'm upset.